Hi, everyone, and welcome to this licensing update. It must be a very busy time for Microsoft in the final month of the fiscal year because they took a whole day, almost an entire day, to release the updates for June 2022. For us, it's a busy time as well. The last month of the fiscal year, many of you are probably currently negotiating with Microsoft, stressing out about getting the good deal in place, and probably don't even have time to watch this. But we always like to be very transparent in everything that's happening. So right now, I will take you through all the updates that I consider worthwhile. So this will mainly be about the current licensing terms. Let me zoom in a little in the product terms, but we will discover and discuss some other topics as well. So first off, Microsoft 365, there's now an F5 e-discovery audit, information protection and governance, and insider risk management suite available. So for your first line workers, and you can see this here in the table, new products added. For your first line workers, you can now also buy the mini suites for Microsoft 365 E5 compliance, or Purview, what they are rebranding this as. If we scroll through the entire page, you will see the requirements here that Microsoft has listed. So for all these suites, you would need at the minimum Microsoft 365 F1 or F3, Office 365 F3 in combination with an Enterprise Mobility and Security E3 kiosk suite. So this might not be familiar to a lot of people, but there's a first line worker kiosk suite for E3 as well. No other material changes here, so I want to switch to the next topic, which is Azure. So within the Azure page, which is becoming increasingly large, they removed the Azure Customer Solution clause for Azure Kubernetes Service and Azure Stack HCI, as the Azure Customer Solution clause encompasses these terms. So it's now included in the Azure Customer Solution clause. And remove the end user relationship clause from Azure Communication Services as the language is covered in Contract Stack, and the recent Azure Customer Solution clause applies. Finally, they updated Microsoft Azure Service Plan definition to drive clarity on which Azure products apply. So if you look here, they removed the entire end user relationship clause, leaving us just with the end user information clause. So this clause read, while Microsoft provides Azure Communication Services to customer further provides the services through its own applications or offerings to end users. Customer is the sole provider of the end user's services, and customer shall have sole and exclusive responsibility to end users. Well, this is very crisp and clear. This has been turned into the Azure Customer Clause, and let's see if we can find it. Well, it's not on this page, so I'll have to circle back and try and get this for you. But when you scroll on, you see general service terms for Azure applies to AKS. However, the definition of AKS is Azure Kubernetes Service. However, the definition of customer solution is replaced with the following. So this is deemed obsolete by Microsoft as it's in the general clause right now. Similar down here for Azure Stack HCI, it's been removed, so it's obsolete right now. Then if we continue on to Power Platform, they added terms for Power Apps embedded wrap feature to enable distributable code and update requirements. Well, that's been read here. So this is the Power Platform page, and at the bottom you see distributable code. If you may use the wrap feature of Power Apps to generate a software package containing a Canvas app combined with certain Power Apps mobile platform components. Customer may distribute the combined package unmodified under the terms set forth in the distributable code section of the universal license terms for software. So you can use the wrap feature. You just need to be aware of the universal license terms for software, and you may not disassemble the combined package or distribute any components separated from the combined package, which is a basic clause that actually is in the universal license terms and should apply to all Microsoft products and services. Finally, a few sentences around updates. Customer may be required to update the package generated from the wrap feature to ensure packages are running on a supported version of the Power Apps mobile platform. So you will be notified if there's updates that are required to run the Power Apps mobile platform correctly. If you don't update, then your Power App might not function as desired. So on to some new products. Microsoft added the Microsoft Sustainability Manager. You can see that here. These are the terms for this for the EA and EAS. It's an additional product. The product conditions, the universal license terms apply for all online services. It's in the server product pool. You are extended term eligible. Reduction eligible is possible. And within this SCE, none, but you can buy it in an SCE. It's an additional product, and it's true up eligible. So if you want more licenses, you should reserve them or immediately place an order. So the compliance disclaimer that they put forth here, you can learn more about Microsoft commitments to compliance, data protection, and privacy, and the Microsoft Sustainability Manager at this page. So if we move to this overview, you will see that Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability empowers organizations to accelerate sustainability progress and business growth by bringing together a set of environmental, social, and governance capability across the Microsoft Cloud portfolio, plus solutions from our global ecosystem of partners. Now they go on to talk about unified data intelligence, so you gain visibility required to effectively drive sustainability reporting and efforts and business transformation. You can streamline data ingestion and analyze and report environmental impact. So this is an expansion of the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability, where they released their first product to help actually drive sustainability within your company, which I think is a valiant effort. I do wonder how many companies actually will start using this, but if you know anyone that has been testing this, has been using this, then please do let me know. Minecraft Education Edition. They removed the Bing Maps notice clause. This is being done to put Minecraft under the DPA, data processing agreement, instead of the privacy statement referenced in the Bing Maps notices. Is a new page, the Minecraft Education Edition. So I don't know why they said they removed something. I didn't see this in the previous month's overview of the product terms. But again, here it's an additional product, organization-wide student offering, so it's only available in the Enrollment for Education Solutions program. Universal license terms for online services apply. It's an application. There are no promos. It's not reduction eligible, and you have the student use benefit there, which can be of value to you as an educational institution. Moving on to the privacy and security terms, so they updated the Power Platform Core Services Data at Rest section to align with Microsoft Trust Center updates. I think I should be here. So this is the privacy and security terms page, and there's always a section in there discussing the location of customer data at rest, meaning for all the online services that Microsoft offers, what are actually how does Microsoft actually handle this data? So Office 365 services are commonly known. If you provision your tenant in a certain country or a region, then that will be available in that country or region only. For Intune, different clauses, etc., etc. And what they changed is that the Microsoft Power Platform Core Services read if it's tenant in Australia, Canada, Asia Pacific, France, excluding Microsoft virtual agents, India, Japan, the European Union, UK, or US, Microsoft will store customer data address only within that specific region, except as noted in the data location section of Microsoft Power Platform Trust Center. Now, what they changed is to when a Power Platform Core service to be deployed within an available geo, then for that service, Microsoft will store the customer data address within that specified geo, meaning that at first you had only certain regions where you could host your Power Platform data. This is now a global service. So if you want to provision anywhere that's not Australia, Canada, Asia Pacific, France, India, Japan, EU, UK, or the US, you can now do so, and Microsoft will store the customer data address within that specified geography, except as described in the Microsoft Power Platform Trust Center. And that begs the question, well, what's the Trust Center? So if you go to the Trust Center, and I specifically went to the Trust Center for Microsoft Power Platform, but you have all the resources here: Azure, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and the Power Platform. This is basically a dynamic website that Microsoft maintains, giving you more background and information and comfort around how they handle security, privacy, data, compliance, etc., etc., etc. So you see here for all the products in the Microsoft Power Platform, Power Apps, Power BI, and Power Automate. You see that you have links for security, privacy, GDPR, data location, and always a learn more. For Power BI and Power Automate, also a compliance section. And it's about the data location. So if you click this, and I hope it switches to the, Dutch. So let's get the English on. International availability of Microsoft Power Platform page. It doesn't tell you a lot right here. What it does say is download this PDF and have a look. Well, let's do that together. It's a big document. It contains all the Dynamics and Power Apps products and services and how they handle this. So for Power Apps specifically, you always get an overview, what kind of certifications and attestations there are, how they handle privacy, how they handle security. And in the final section here, you see how they handle customer data and how they store that. So for Power Apps, it stores information that is global in nature, user identities and profile information in a data center located in the United States. So right off the bat, that's the type of data that can go to the United States. All Power Apps customer data, as well as geo-redundant mirrors, is maintained within the selected geo. Power Apps works and uses several Microsoft Azure services, so you should refer to the Azure Data Center map for details on the retention of customer data by location. And Microsoft will not transfer customer data outside the selected geo, except when, and then a whole slew of rules. So if you find this interesting, again, go and Google Microsoft Trust Center. Go to the page that you're interested in, Power Platform, Azure, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365. It will link you to another page if you look at the data location aspect of it. And then you will probably find this document for Dynamics and Power Platform, and do have a look through it. It's on the screen here. It's a lot to read, but it's always very interesting to know how Microsoft handles your data. And you should always be aware of how Microsoft handles your data, because when you shift from on-prem to the cloud, obviously it might be that they host your data in a certain way that might not agree with the rules and regulations of your company, organization, industry, government, etc. Switching back, SQL Server clarified that SQL Server customers may also run a passive instance of Power BI Report Server in eligible failover OSEs. This is the final entry in the product terms for this month. So you see that here, the use of Power BI Report Server. Customers may run Power BI Report Server software on a licensed server on any allowed failover OSE in accordance with those same limits. This is probably a request from a customer that was like, well, does this mean that this counts for my failovers as well? And I said, oh yeah, it actually does. So if they give that to one customer, they cannot make that exception for another. So they will add this additional language to the product terms. So that was it for the product terms. Then I always have a look at the Microsoft licensing page around any news that might be there. And obviously, one of the bigger news items of the past weeks was the announcement that Brad Smith has done, where he responds to European cloud provider feedback with new programs and principles. So in detail, this is around some questions and concerns that were raised in Europe about software licensing practices that impact competing cloud providers. So cloud providers that use Microsoft services to their customers. As I said to journalists then, we felt that while not all of these claims are valid, some of them are, and we'll make changes soon to address them. So they have now released what they are addressing in an event in Brussels where they discuss these changes. And the first change that they made is a set of European cloud principles that Microsoft is adopting to run the cloud business across Europe. And these cloud principles are: we will ensure our public cloud meets Europe's needs and serves Europe's values. We will ensure our cloud provides a platform for the success of European software developers, which I hoped was always true in the beginning as well. We will partner with and support European cloud solution providers. I think they already did that. We will ensure our cloud offerings meet European government sovereign needs in partnership with local trusted technology providers. They've not actually always said this, but they have been dealing a lot around this. And they recognize that European governments are regulating technology and will adapt and support these efforts. So valiant effort here. I think it's a lot of marketing speak. I think some of them are quite obvious. But the second, which implements one of these principles, is a new initiative to support European cloud providers so they can more easily host a wider variety of Microsoft products on their cloud infrastructure. So that is the key bullet for me here. There's a lot of issues when you want to adopt the cloud, also for whole cloud providers in Europe that want to host that to their end customers. And there's a lot of questions going on around this. We've been increasingly active and in discussions with European cloud providers that kind of think the whole thing is a black box and should be opened up. And I think that Microsoft is actually starting to listen and wants to do so as well. So I'm very curious to see where that is going. So if you didn't know and haven't read this blog yet, I suggest you go to blogs.microsoft.com/EU policy. Check out this page. It goes a lot further. So they discuss the feedback from European cloud providers. They show a map of how the Microsoft Cloud is growing, and they announce a better support. So there's going to be more options for European cloud providers. First, we will enable more European companies that host software to join this program, and will provide all of them with more opportunities and benefits than before. This will include the following. The expansion will enable these cloud providers directly to offer Windows and Office as a part of a complete hosted desktop solution that they can build, sell, and host on their infrastructure. This will mean that the European cloud providers will have the ability to provide this complete end-to-end solution. So this is quite new, if you ask me, because this was usually a pick and choose type thing. When is this possible? Is that not possible? But Microsoft is stating that they will make this available now. Curious to see how. The expansion will also enable European cloud providers to provide the same service to customers who buy Windows and Office software from other Microsoft partners and who may want a European cloud provider to host this for them. And finally, they are addressing a pain point, expanding the range of products that can be offered to customers at fixed pricing for longer terms, which will provide more pricing stability and certainty to providers and their customers. So that might reference, I guess, to the SPLA program where you don't have committed offers or something like that. More flexibility for customers. So they recognize the importance of coupling the changes for cloud providers with greater licensing flexibility for customers. In recent meetings across Europe, we heard requests to simplify our licensing, and they will include the following. They will take to heart the first recommendation in their fair software licensing principles and will strive to craft revised licensing terms that are more clearly written. Always a great thing to hear, but in practice, I do think it's going to be very, very complex still. Several of the fair software licensing principles relate to how customers can move their licenses to the cloud to leverage shared hardware and have more flexibility in deployment options. In support of that, they will revise and expand the software assurance program in which customers purchase new version rights, disaster recovery, failover support, license mobility, and many other benefits. Today, SA benefits do not include license mobility rights for products such as Windows Office and Windows Server, so customers must use that software in more restrictive programs or on hardware dedicated specifically to those customers. They will expand software assurance benefits to enable customers to use their licenses on any European cloud provider delivering services in their own data centers. So this is quite big news, right? What they're basically saying here is that for products that don't have a license mobility at the moment, that they will add this to the product through software assurance, potentially also through server subscriptions in CSP, but that remains to be seen. What that means is that for Windows Office and Windows Server, which you typically could not move to your partner hosted solution, that they will make this possible. This might mean that we actually will see the end of the SPLA program, but who knows? We will make it easier than ever to license Windows Server for virtual environments and the cloud by relaxing licensing rules and reflected legacy software licensing practices where licenses are tied to physical hardware. Also very nice. So with that, I want to switch back to read through the entire thing. It's a very fascinating, interesting read. I wonder how long it will take them to roll out all their different points that they're raising. Also, knowing Microsoft, they will do that in their own time and terms. So it might be that it will take a long time. It's not immediate. This was released in May. In June, you don't yet see this. But what you do see on the Microsoft licensing news webpage is that new software assurance benefit and terms to support hosted solutions has been added in May 18th. So they say as part of the speech on the European cloud providers, Brad Smith announced more the changes that we went through just now. And they say, what's changing? As part of the evolution of Microsoft commercial experience and the transformation from on-premise to the cloud, in 2019, Microsoft updated the licensing terms for outsourcing rights and dedicated hosted cloud services to clarify the distinction between on-prem, traditional outsourcing versus cloud services hosting, and to create more consistent terms across multi-tenant and dedicated hosted cloud services with several providers. This latest update covers additional changes. So they will change what they changed in 2019. Now again, the changes outlined in the announcement will impact partners and customers in the following ways. These changes don't apply to listed providers. And this is very important because who are listed providers? If you follow the link, you download the document, the listed providers are Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, Alibaba, and most other competitors of Microsoft Azure. What they will do is introduce a new software assurance benefit that also applies to eligible subscriptions. As I said, this is now been realized here. So server subscriptions will probably also count to allow customers to virtualize their existing server software subscriptions when they choose to move to the cloud. You can virtualize Windows Server similar to how customers can do so on Azure with any cloud provider excluding listed providers. Again, whether they have shared or dedicated tenancy. So it doesn't matter if it's a dedicated environment or a shared environment, you can use license mobility, so to say, for Windows Server. Introducing changes to empower partners to sell customers the software licenses and services necessary for a partner to build complex solutions that customers can deploy on-prem or in the cloud. So that hybrid benefit will probably be expanded. Changing our terms to expand fulfillment options for qualified partners to serve their customers when delivering pre-built solutions on their own infrastructure. Customers can bring their own licenses to their partner, or the partner can sell them the licenses needed as part of the hosted solution. So they again reference the Brad Smith blog. This is the first step. It's not implemented yet. They say they will do it. They don't really say when they will do it. So just keep in mind that the Microsoft fiscal year ends June 30th. And in the summer periods, usually it's going to be quite busy with licensing changes. So I do expect somewhere in July, August, finally September, that there will be more updates rolled out. If not, they will probably take their due time and not release it until somewhere later in the new fiscal year. October is always a very interesting month for Microsoft partners with um, the new kickback fees being released. So do keep an eye out. We will, of course, cover it when we do find out that this has happened. And with that, this is the end of my update for this month. So I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch this. I know it's been a little bit of a longer sit down than you're used to, but there was some ground to cover. I hope you find it valuable. Let me know your thoughts if I missed anything, if I didn't explain things correctly in your sense. So do let me know. I always appreciate any and all feedback, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.